Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Billy-Shayne. Was gonna do some really awesome screen printing tonight of a new limited edition poster that's gonna be commemorating the Wyvern Gang. That's gonna be streaming off of our, off of my channel. That's gonna be our D&D stream, and I'm just doing some preparation. Yesterday I was a huge dipshit and started streaming part one of coloring in and drawing the Yawning portal from Tales from the Yawning Portal, and I streamed just Battlefield 1, and understandably a lot of people couldn't find me, and those who did find me were a little pleased that I had streamed that as Battlefield 1, when typically my Battlefield 1 shit is a lot more exciting than me explaining value and tonality. So, that being said, I'm here for part 2. I'll do a quick run through of everything again down here on the map and give you a setup on the table, but keep the chat lively, and don't forget to follow me on Spotify. You can find Billy-Shayne Jackson, and I have all my public playlists. And tonight's public playlist is 80s jams. And if you want to talk obscura and 80s music at all, fill up that fucking chat box with your thoughts. I'm here to listen to you. I'll be going for a little bit, but I do want to watch Getting Dug with High tonight with my roomies. So when they show up, I'll probably kind of bail off. But let's explore the setup, shall we? And let's get into coloring the inside of the Yawning portal. So I'm going to adjust you down here. So, just like we had yesterday, we got Xanatar, always looking out. Studio's looking primo as fuck with maps all over the wall. Posters, all that shit. Anyway, we're going to be focusing down here, and let me walk you back through this. So, we had started kind of here on this back section and talking about the entrance and going in as we were filling out all this cobbling area. Decided to throw in a garden next to these watering troughs to keep those horses at ease. And one thing we really talked about was doing layers for saturation to get everything to look like it's on an even lighting scope. I had said it would probably be about afternoon, so the light is going to be coming from the back side of the building and drawing these hard lines off that we just used multiple layers. The big takeaway from yesterday was to use your shoulder and your elbow and not your hand when you're drawing. After we had the whole perimeter kind of blocked out, we started with the inside and started filling out the hardwood floors and just going row by row by row and getting it through. And then I said this would be a good place to stop because I still needed to put in the curios and shit that makes the Yawning portal that much more awesome. And I haven't really figured out where to do that, but I'm going to start off with getting in these crushed velvet seats and then moving from there. I don't really know what color Dernan, the owner, is into, but I'm going to take a stab and say that he probably keeps it OG with some nice red. This is kind of a red-orange. Well, kind of a red-orange. It is fucking red-orange. Keep an eye on the views here. Yeah, I actually got it fucking right this time. Plugged it is Dungeons & Dragons, and maybe hopefully we'll see some people. I understand it's late. It's Friday night, so it'd be kind of weird, but fuck it, as I always say. But anyway, we're going to start with these crushed velvet cushions. So, just like we had done before, start with that saturation around the inside. And again, don't hold the crayon like this. We're using the side. We're going to want to sharpen it as we go by rotating it and using these flat edges to kind of help. And just lightly go in on this top. Let me go in. You see that? Stands out. One of the things I continued to touch on yesterday was that your drawing really only needs to be about 90% believable, that a lot of people can't recognize the spectrum of value in a realistic scenario because your brain is already doing a hodgepodge job at making sure you understand anyway. So really all we're doing is we're following a loose guideline based on the light sources in the room, but for some of the stuff you can fudge it however you want, That's what I'm doing right here. We had done this kind of fire pit back here, and so far I had just put these purple magical flares coming off of it as like some sort of magical force field that keeps the fire from spreading, since, I did hardwood floors, and people didn't really do that a lot. And you had a big bunch of fire, so I'll see myself there and use magic to help correct my mistake. I don't know what Dernan actually has going on, but I kind of get the feeling that nobody does. So now that we have these crushed velvet cushions going forward on these seats that lean on the bar, let's talk about the curios and the sections that I've kind of left open in this negative space while we fill in the remainder of our floor. I'm going to kind of draw this line out to kind of show me where I need to extend. And again, saturate, let up, saturate, let up. We just got to get this fill in and let up. We want that saturation along these doors, and these are the latrines. Alright, so now we're going to, on this last wooden plank, we're going to go saturated on the area that isn't saturated by the row preceding it to help build up this fantasy of hardwood and having the multi-grain surface and help build some of that texture without having to write hardwood floor for your players to get the gist, you know what I'm saying? I was talking about how you need to just try and give them as much visual data as you possibly can, because the whole point of the passive perception score is to allow you to use your character's five senses in advantage. And if you, as your character, can't readily do that through role-playing, it can really just kind of defeat the purpose. You end up asking yourself, what I would consider to be existential questions. If I'm an X, why can't I do this? Or why wouldn't I notice that? And, a lot of people should have the opportunity to recognize it as their character without having to break the fourth wall and be like, well, I'm not even half of that, and I noticed this. And it's just a nasty conversation to have, because they're right. You have to admit you're wrong. And that can be really problematic when you're just trying to get the story to move somewhere and people actually get harmed. It's not fun. But I understand that, and that's why I believe that just doing these maps, and again, this is the Bob Ross equivalent to D&D map making. I'm doing this with Crayola crayons and a Sharpie. I didn't put down any pencil beforehand. I didn't start with anything else other than, these crayons, a nice little box of crayons, and a singular Sharpie. You start there and you work your way out, and damn, I think it works awesomely. Works bigly, very bigly, muchly bigly. So anyway, continuing on, I've got a little bit more of this hardwood floor to go along, and I'm hearing some Huey Lewis in the News come up on here. Huge Huey Lewis in the News fan. Back in the day, I would have said that Huey Lewis in the News is my favorite band, and this was in the aughts, and I wasn't doing it to be a hipster. I just really love 80s music. Something about it really speaks to my behavior tendencies and all that shit. Okay. So we've kind of got all of the hardwood that we're going to need to fill out this area before we start adding in these extra light tones like we'd already done in the foyer and hallway and leading into the staircase. This was an area I wanted to save for galleries, and so I think I'm going to do it kind of coffee shop style. If you've ever been to a Flying Saucer, they kind of like have a sofa and a couple of lounge chairs and a love seat that kind of face. So I'm going to do a sofa right here. And how you're going to do this is drawing your kind of like base armrest here. Bring that in. And then when you kind of have this opportunity, bring that up. Pillow top it out. And that's how you're going to imply that level of filling and depth. And then what I'm going to do is draw that across. Bring this out for the other armrest, right? Following so far. Bring another line up top and billow it. Make it look like it's got that filling. Down here on these cushions, bring it out, separate it, bring it out, and in. Voila, we have a couch. And when we actually get to the color, we'll be able to add that extra layer of saturation that makes it look even more like that. So now let's get one of those lounging chairs like I was talking about, like everyone was talking to one another. And bring it in just like we had done before. Bring it out extra tall. Make it fan really nice. And bring it across just like that. That second armrest. End it with a little seat cushion. Boom. We got a chair facing it. Now we need to do that left seat. And maybe there's little bitty end tables next to it to hold your drinks or something. You know, I've been to a couple areas, but man, that comes in real handy. Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to fit a love seat in there, but I definitely think that we can fit another chair, so that's what I'm going to do. Bring this armrest in. Jack that out of there. Jack that out of there. Bring it across. Bring it across and form it in. Bring out that other armrest. But that seat, maybe that one's a little taller, you know. It's got some of those buttons in it. You'd have this light coming in from the window that would just make this a really great place to kind of sit and talk and chew the cud. I'm trying to think of what they might have in between them. My first thought is maybe a rug or something like that, but yeah, maybe it's not a whole lot. Maybe this is just a purely conversational area. I'll do a fluffy ottoman. Oh, just draw a little bit of fluff. And these guys would have a circular little table. Yeah. Kick your feet out. Maybe just have a conversation. As we kind of go into this corner, I don't think there really should be a whole lot outside of maybe a couple of these curios we keep talking about. So let's maybe put a mounted something or other. Well, we already kind of know what curios we have already, so let's actually maybe try some sort of like, I don't want to say altarpiece, but some sort of special housing here. Just roughing it, bringing it out. You know, give it the whole little roof. You know, maybe this is a place of final worship, some sort of shrine. I don't know. I'll figure it out by the time we run the game. I know that much. Always be working on your improv skills, like for serious. They come in very handy. And I'd also like to pretend that maybe there's some kind of carpet in parts of this area. Maybe there's a whole carpet underneath some of this shit, but that feels a little excessive at this point. Not feeling the Van Hagar that just came on, so how can you tell when it's love? I don't know that I care. Do like Kenny Loggins though. Huge Kenny Loggins fan. Came and played at the Arkansas Music Pavilion not too long ago, but knowing my luck, I didn't get a chance to do anything in terms of attending, and so missed out on it. I saw some videos from it. Looked like I would have had a good time, but you know, I've missed a lot of good concerts that have kind of come through, but I have made some too. You know, I've seen Kool and the Gang, I've seen Hall & Oates, I've seen the Goo Goo Dolls. It can be a little hard to kind of look at some of the more favorite ones I've missed in the past. Like I really hated I didn't get to see Michael Jackson before he died. Granted, now I'm having a bit of a change of heart because I mean, even if his molestations were just power grabs, I don't doubt that he was fucked up, and I don't doubt that he tried. I don't doubt that he was even successful. It makes it really hard to enjoy somebody's art when you learn that. I mean, and every town's got one of those circumstances. It's not, you know, an uncommon thing, even here in Arkansas. Even here in Arkansas, we got it. Crazy, right? Go across, go across, yeah, just like that. What I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of let this simmer for just a second and get a post off real quick and see if I can't draw a couple more people into this so we can have a little fun. Alright, let's pull it up here. Doing great. I'm just pulling up a JPEG and shit. And then I'm gonna get back after it with JPEG. I'm a PNG man. Putting that down. I'll send that to myself, and then I'll pull up my phone and just kind of share it because I'm having a good time, and I want people to kind of come along for this journey. I think it's a lot of fun. Throw this on here. Come join me at twitch.tv/Bishanye Jackson to help me finish coloring the tales from the Yawning portal map for the upcoming Ruins of Adventure Dungeons and Dragons program. A couple of exclamation points. Check in, Fayetteville, Arkansas. What am I doing? I'm making art. Post. Very nice. Now I'm going to pretty much turn over and do the same thing on Instagram, and help draw people to what I'm doing. Encourage people to come participate in this process because, straight up, it can be ridiculously boring by yourself. Yeah, so we kind of let this filler go. We got some people updated with the story, and that's half the battle. I got to make a legit post if I'm going to expect anyone to come along. So forgot to move this along in the right direction. All right, got the art, saving the art. Huzzah! Going back to Instagram. Shutting down Facebook, letting it just kind of chill. Woo! I don't know what's interfering with the music right now, but I am kind of glad it shut off because I like that song and I wasn't getting a chance to enjoy it, but that means you guys can't follow along with what I'm listening to. So let me get it started back up. Currently listening to some Loverboy. Got my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Bishanye Jackson going hot tonight for some Dungeons and Dragons artwork. And I should probably hashtag that. And I should actually probably do maps if I'm using my head. And then you'll just kind of do a lot of filler terms of the hashtags you can get. Gamer, nerd, illustration, geek, Dungeons and Dragons, the hashtag, which feels really stupid to say. Crayon, art, drawing, ink, design. Trying to think of a couple more, maybe tabletop, RPG, fantasy. Let's try OG maybe. Local, Arkansas, And really, that's kind of all I can think about in terms of what we're doing. Maybe wax. Sure, sounds good to me. Putting it down, tag some people. I doubt they're going. I should probably put the most tails from the Yawning. It doesn't even look like it has any hashtags going. Oh yeah, there's a couple. Alright, let's launch it. Hopefully that wasn't enough tags and metadata to where this is going to fuck up and I'm not going to get my copy in there, but it didn't do that. I might have actually been able to fit in a couple more hilariously. God. Why are people tagging me in this? Yeah, I don't need any auto likes, thank you. You are blocked. Don't fucking do that shit. That's what they'll do. These fucking bot accounts will come and follow you and be like, oh yeah, here's where you can get more likes. And I'm like, no. No, man. That ain't for me. That ain't for me at all. Let me make sure I had everything I needed to have in there. Yeah, hopefully some people come, join along, have a good time. Let's get back after it though. We're currently filling in the remainder of, I can't really see where my angle is at. Yeah, we're filling in this last bit before we get to the curios, which means we got a hardwood floor to color in. Whee! Again, use your shoulder and your elbow. Don't fucking come into this trying to use your hand. It's just too taxing. None of the pros do it like that, and you know, a lot of people definitely make the argument that they want to know how to draw like people who know how to draw. Well, guess what? Just like people who know how to run and know how to swim, it's muscle memory. The end. There's the big secret. We all practiced an absurd amount of time. And by we all, I mean the people, those of us who can draw. So I'm going to use my hand a little bit. I got to get these finer details, and that's kind of difficult to squeeze them in right there. I'm just going to leave this all saturated behind that ottoman or under that ottoman, however you want to think of it or look at it. And I'm going to keep coming across here. Alright, yeah, just like that. Bringing it in and around. I'm going to do these heavy saturated lines along the edges just like we had done in the previous rooms to kind of help fill it out. So boom, here we are. This took almost no time, and we've got everything fleshed out, and now we have our furniture. So, you know, I'd like to imagine that he kind of keeps this crushed velvet thing going. So maybe let's come in here with this orange red again, and let's get real heavy in here and then bring it out real light and then real heavy on these edges, kind of give it that saturated feel of tonality without having to do anything more than just going heavy and then going light, go light, go light, go light, go light, and go up right up to this outline and bring it across. Let it know you've got that depth, and then we won't have to really fill in this top. We'll just have to kind of outline it, and it takes on that appearance of having this depth, and you can kind of see that as we take it along. So I'm going to do the same thing I did to the previous armrest over here. Bring it up, fill it across. Same thing with the seats. Going deep and then going light, 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 light. And go around that edge. You can see that contrast on the seat is giving it the ability to already naturally match the value of the room and allow people to perceive that depth. You know, again, I'm really just doing this because I like people to utilize their passive perception through the art of roleplay, and a lot of that means coming up with visual aids that aren't time-consuming. They're not that bad. I'm going to make these little things over here a burnt orange. Just grab this one at random. Don't even really remember where I just grabbed it from. But fuck it. You know, bring it across. Just outline these shapes and then lightly fill it in. You know, boom. They still kind of keep that different brown while still being brown. And I'm going to do the same color. You know, let's pretend that Dernan used the same interior designer for all the furniture pieces. You know, at least that's how it happens in TV or whatever. Same down here. Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Just draw that line on that inside and down. Same with that here. Just skirting it, just skirting it. Imply that value. You don't have to directly represent it. Do the same over here. Bring it out, bring it out, bring it out. Get that outline in. When I mean bring it out, I mean ease up on the pressure that you're applying to the tip of the crayon. Ease up, ease up, ease up, ease up, and kind of let that lighter flow drift upward in a natural gradient so that you don't have to do as much work to get the effect. And I can hear some Patti LaBelle on in the background, and God, I love Patti LaBelle. And you know what? Let's leave this ottoman in the... Well, I probably shouldn't, because anyone who had a white ottoman is asking for fucking stains. What would be a good accent color for this moment? I would typically reach for something complementary, but I'm not sure that's the direction I want to go. I think I want to go something a little bit silly, so I'm going to reach out for the gold crayon. More specifically, Crayola gold. Okay, so I'm going to make this a feathered gold ottoman. You know, maybe it was made from one of the skins of the creatures that Durnan found in the Yawning portal and kind of brought it back, and that's what he's done with it. Okay, so we've got just about everything in this area filled out. One of the things that we're going to have to cover that we haven't already is some of the value that's going to go on with the light in the room. I had said just imagine lights were coming from the top somewhere, and maybe there's less traditional lighting elements in here to bring in a more magical feel. So I'll probably describe it as having will-o-wisp-like creatures just constantly kind of floating, and he can change their tune by maybe saying a word in Elvish or some shit. That'll help add a lot of dramatic value to the surrounding and kind of give Durnan this natural feel of being a well-traveled adventurer. And what's going to be difficult for my higher-up players to kind of get in the groove with him is recognizing his ability and talent, because they're pretty accomplished, no shit. They've gone through a lot with the Tyranny of Dragons series, and you know, after stopping Tiamat, they definitely have a little bit of a superiority complex. It's a good thing, but you know, it's still something I have to take into account, just in terms of like, how are they going to respond to this? And you know, I would be willing to bet that with most cases when they're entertaining another power or authority, unless they're going to have enough visual details to back up their claims, I don't think they're going to give them the time of day. And that sucks. So like I said, these in here are latrines. So we would actually have stone where there's a latrine, because people have to have that ability to wash it out. So I'm going to go back to using my Crayola gray, and we're going to fill out these latrines here. I'm going to scoot it more towards you guys so you can kind of see what I'm dealing with. In taking what I've got going on here, I'm going to start at the base of the latrine, and I'm going to come out. I'm keeping it real light until I get to the perimeter, and then I'm going to get real dark. Now just take it out here. This is one of those circumstances where we can probably assume that it gets darker from the latrine and forward, and we don't really have to do much other light accenting than that to get people to understand the cause of value and where the light source is coming from and what's going on. You know, we can't leave anything completely white, because since there is no like readily identifiable light source, it's not going to be there. But when we get up into the actual latrine where the ass would go, let's do that a completely saturated gray, okay? This is going to help with the thought that, you know, these are separate. They're above. They're a darker stone, maybe. They're more used. Maybe they got more oil buildup. I mean, it's a fucking shitter. You don't have to get too complicated into it as long as you do that little bit of a dirty detail. So I'm gonna make it black, and I'm just gonna kind of roll out, and you can kind of see where this hole would be, where your ass goes. And I'm gonna do the same over here. We'll bring it out, bring it out, bring it out. Start real deep and bring it out, bring it out, bring it out, bring it out. Start real deep and bring it out, bring it out, bring it out. Now, this kind of curtain here is going to give off the sense that maybe this side is a little bit darker, but I think it would do it to both. So just kind of take your black, and real lightly we're going to come forward, and then we're going to get real deep here, and we're going to come forward. We're going to get real deep here, and we're going to come forward. Just like that. Help build that value through layers. So Same with back here. Just bring it forward a little bit. You ain't got to do a lot. Bring it forward a little bit. God, I love that Fleetwood Mac song that just came on. That's from Tango in the Night, and that was Everywhere. Love that song. Ooh, and now we got some Peter Cetera, which makes me really excited. So boom, now we have our latrines. What does that really leave, you might be asking? Well, at least a couple of other features. And after doing some of the stairs over at this portion of the map, I think I want to make these 2 staircases in this little raised area up here. Made out of stone. So let me put this over so you can keep a good view on it. Well, Xanatar is in the way, so I'll adjust the camera. Whoop, whoop. Alright, so let's keep on with these stairs like I was talking about. I didn't realize my phone ain't in the damn box no more, so I couldn't hear it as well as I wanted to. Alright, so after checking some text, let's go ahead and start with this staircase. And kind of like I did over here, this area of the stairs is going to be darker, so you can kind of bring it up and off. And this top would be a little bit darker, so kind of bring it down. And what I'm doing is here at the baseline of the top stair, I'm doing a saturated line and bringing it forward. I'm going to bring a saturated line around the perimeter of this whole portion. And I'm going back and forward with that, and you can kind of see the point on the crayon here. And just a glint, even that right there. I'm using the side of the crayon and I'm filing it down so that you have a good point with which to do finer detail if you need to. And if you don't keep rotating the crayon while you do that to help build that sharpness, you do end up having to use a sharpener. And though I have one, goofy piece of shit is way more difficult to use than just being proactive with the behaviors that make a good fucking artist. So, when I learn how to draw, get to using this technique. I'm still bringing it across. I'm just bringing it across. Bringing it across. Kablam. Alright, so that means we got these crushed velvet seats again. I'm going back to my orange red, and I'm going to bring it in, saturate it around this edge, and then bring it in real light in between, saturate it around the edge, light in, saturated and light, saturated and light. Kablam. So there you have it. These pieces are just coming together more and more and more and more, and hopefully you can see just how easy it is. So now I'm going to go back to pretend this is that bar wood, so we're going to do that hard red outline. I was a little inconsistent with how I had colored, or not colored, but drawn the dimensions of this bar, so, it looks kind of jank, but I don't really think a lot of people are just going to be like, yeah, I'll sit. It's more for the feel of the whole thing. As for this, I kind of forgot about this little offshoot. I'm just going to quickly do some gray around the perimeter and then fill it in. This is more just going to be for any rogue characters that kind of come through. And I've already had one go through, and he wasn't very interested in exploring that aspect. And so I'm also just going to make it really dark in there to kind of discourage anyone from just being like, doodly-doo. I'm going to waste my turn in there. You're bringing it in, and you want to get lighter around this first door's threshold to kind of imply that that's where the light's coming from. So boom, easily done. And I'm talking about this section right here that I just kind of colored in. See if anyone from Instagram feels like coming to join us. Wow. A lot more people than I had initially thought would give a fuck about this. So, let's hope they come along and give a follow. I'll go ahead and take this moment to kind of plug. I would like to do this part-time consistently, and it can be difficult to do that when you're not making money from it. So I have a donate availability, and if you're feeling what I'm putting down and you like what I'm putting down, then take a trip, help a brother out. I certainly wouldn't mind. I'm going to keep doing it regardless, but it is nice to be able to do this, and I don't want that to go away. Shit's happening all the time. You never know what might change, and shit can be frustrating. And just kind of giving these Instagram peeps a like back. Those who came along and were at least willing to give me a like, even though they're not willing to come check out the show. I just want to make sure that they get that back, because you got to pay it forward, man. You just got to. Life is too short to skip details, unfortunately. Every time I get to ignoring some shit, it just comes back to bite me in the ass. Robert Palmer is playing on right now, and I used to be really in love with this song. And one thing I especially love about Robert Palmer is his videos were super sexy. And man, in this one, he had these girls in fucking pink one-piece bathing suits, and you know, I don't know about a lot of people, but I can at least speak for millennial men in saying that the Sandlot changed us. We are addicted to the one piece. I seldom find bathing suits that look as good as a one piece do, and it can be kind of lame in the respect that I get that bikinis are more popular and especially more comfortable. Because man, you get a one piece on, you're asking for trouble. All sorts of shit gets trapped in there, so I've been told. Never worn one, but in looking back in my youth, I was encouraged to dress up in women's clothing when I was a small child, just because I wanted to. And in that respect, for someone who went to a Methodist preschool, it's pretty avant-garde and progressive of those particular instructors, especially for a religious institution. I mean, for fuck's sake, that's a risk. I don't really mind. Regardless of not wearing leotards anymore, you still get called names. I've always found that to be quite humorous. His qualifications for ridicule always seem to be paper thin. I really got into that. I think I was there for a little while when I was in high school. I was just really angry at the circumstances that kept happening to me, and I would lash out a lot verbally if people were just, not receptive or not proactive to what I considered to be a best course of action. And man, it's a level of arrogance that can poison your soul and make you believe a lot of false ideals, not only about yourself but the world around you. And it's not particularly healthy, as one would imagine. I'm going to do the same. I'm just using this black to go along the perimeter to give kind of a feel that, this is a second bar, a more private bar, so you would have a denser lighting going on in there regardless. And since I'm saying that there's will-o-wisps kind of going all over on top of this, there's really only going to be an outline, and I'll say a soft outline, and going along with the shit that's over here. She used to look good to me. I'll do it a little bit off and back this way. I'm just going to do it right now. So I'm going to take this black, I'm going to bring it along, I'm going to separate off, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring it back the other way. I'm going to separate off, I'm going to come back. So that's going to be our shadow line, and where we're going to actually draw the value from the lip of the well to, and that means we've got to go around its perimeter. Just this black, and we're trying to get it saturated and really close. We move along. Allow it to kind of come out a little bit once we get it back there. We're going to have to go around this step with it too. Since we've got this fire here, as it pushes off, we're not going to have such a strong sense, and it'll kind of dissipate. And I can't listen to this song twice in 1 week. There's Only One Way to Rock by Sammy Hagar. News for Sammy Hagar: there is more than one way to rock. But I will never turn down some Tarzan Boy. Again, if you want to listen to what I'm listening to, down on middle way through my page, you can see my Spotify radio that I got going, and this is off my public Spotify playlist, 80s jams, over 600 custom-picked obscure 80s songs. I avoid a lot of the popular shit, and I think the thing that best extrapolates that point is I have How Will I Know rather than I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. That'd be a lesson. It's a subtle difference. So we've got this outline, but now we've got to bring this gradient off into this particular part of the shadow. So what I'm going to do, just like we did yesterday, you've got to go in layers. So we're just going to take this, and again, as I let the light shine off of this point, I'll bring it a little bit closer. As I let the light shine off of this point, you can see I'm flattening an edge on the crayon. That's how I'm getting these sides to self-sharpen without having to go to a sharpener. So, flex this edge one more time. I am, flattening an edge on the crayon as I go. You can see the light roll off of it. So, that's helping me build these layers without getting a lot of texture of the point. Alright, so now we've got to use our elbow and our shoulder. Don't use your hand on this. Elbow and your shoulder. Back and forth. Build these layers. Alright, soften it out as we get further and further away. Just like we did yesterday. Come back in, saturate. Help bring it up to a certain level. We're filling that level. Now we're softening it up. Release the pressure as you drag it out. Alright. Boom. We have this shadow that extends this way. I'm going to do it a little bit over here because I feel like this line is just a bit too hard. And I need to kind of do some due diligence on maintaining the believability of my shadow. But we're going to have to do this for these other tables that we have around too. So we pop over here. Go around this table, but just like this one over here is where it's going to have its actual shadow. So I'm going to bring it around, bring it out, and start softening. Soften out, soften out. Kablam. That table now looks like it's standing. I'm going to flip the paper this way so you guys can see what I'm doing a little more clearly. Moving on to the second table now. So just like I did with this first one, oh man, I just ripped a fart. There's no way that didn't pick up on the mic, so sorry. I'm a human. It happens. Alright, yeah, I'm just bringing it out, soften it up, bring it out, soften it up, bring it out, soften it up. Boom! We've got value and tonality on this portion of the room, and I'm gonna try and keep that up. Because we would have the fire coming off of this direction at the steps, these steps are not going to have a lot of tonality, maybe just one little deviation on this back line, and so I'm going to build in that deviation now so that I can move on. Now on the inside we have quite the opposite going on, but because I'm going to have to stack the layers of color on that, I'm not going to start with black. I'm going to start with something a little darker that'll help the black express. And so since we're dealing with well water, I've had to deal with well water before, and I'm using blue-green again, Crayola blue-green. Let's get in the deep here. We're really only going to see a couple of reflections, so I'm going to leave a couple of white spots. When I do water, I like to do these kind of intersecting little bits where I'm just making the wave shape over and over, pressing down and then softening up. So I'm going really hard with the pressure and then kind of doing the same form, but each time I'm loosening up just a little bit more. Now, when we kind of come to these outside forms, we're going to need to get real dark. So we're only going to have a splash of something that would be visible. The rest of this would all be pretty opaque because you're looking down a hall. I love Asia, but I don't love this song, so I'm going to go ahead and skip it. I will always do some Pointer Sisters. I'm a little burned out on Dude Looks Like a Lady. I'll do Stuck on You by Lionel Richie. Man, every time I hear this, I always tell myself, learn how to play this on the guitar before your mom dies. She would really appreciate it. If anyone could appreciate learning some Lionel Richie, it would always be your mom. So I'm going to take my saturated point, I'm going to bring it out to here just to kind of see what tone I need to match. This is setting a standard. Okay, so I've got this strip that goes out that says, alright, I need to match this saturation on every point going inward. And you can just kind of rotate the paper as you go. Draw that line out a little bit, just like that. And bring that level of saturation in. And I've got the crayon flat. I'm holding it soft until I need to kind of press harder. As I actually put it down to the paper, I'm rotating and continuing on, forming the saturated line, holding it down. Keep that pressure as you move inward. We've got to build an opaque layer to put our black wax on in order to draw an appropriate temperament of the tone and value. Oh, how a woman like you and another guy like me. Lionel, you're a good-looking dude, bro. You're in the fucking Commodores. How on earth were you having trouble in the 80s? And, maybe that's just the premise of the song, because, what are the odds that all those pop stars wrote their songs? And no offense against you, Lionel, but let's be real, brother. Now I'm just curious. Does anyone watching right now know the credits on Stuck on You by Lionel Richie enough to let me know whether or not he wrote the song? I feel a little guilty if I'm not representing my boy correctly. I assume that we would be friends if we ever met. I wouldn't fanboy out too hard. I would just be like, hey, like your music, brother. Just want to get that out of the way because I don't want it to be weird. Alright, so we have what would be, a well if it were filled up to the top, but since people are lowered down in a dwarven forging cup, that's my little twist on this. It says a bucket, but fuck that, man. No adventurer of this caliber. Someone like Durnan comes out of the fucking Yawning portal and lowers people via bucket. Nah, man. I'm not saying he's grandiose, but I am saying he's appropriate. He seems like a man who understands value since he accepts fucking gifts from people, you know what I'm saying? One thing I will have to do that I kind of fucked up with the beginner group is I said only, 4 people, period, had come out. And it's like, well, 4 people, period, have completed it and come out. But I kind of get the sense that you're expelled if you die or some shit like that, or don't return. I'm not really sure what the circumstance is that I'll have to provide, but I would like to provide something a little more substantive to explain how other people have done it, but maybe stayed a little more low-key. So using my shoulder and my elbow, and I'm making these circular patterns, and we've got to build these layers. We want to work towards this central area. Okay? Working towards this central area because people will only be able to see just a very little bit. This tunnel goes down 140 fucking feet, so I'm going down to a pretty small portion, and I'm widening it out. There you go. So we're forming this edge again on the crayon, and we're just trying to help figure out where we need to push the tone to. So again, we got to build this saturation up, move it in, soften up, move it in, soften up, go hard and move it in, soften up, go hard, soften up, go hard, soften up. Now we might have to do this a couple of times in order to get that level of darkness that we need to portray in order to pull off a deep well. So because of that, I'm going to peel off a little bit more of the paper from the crayon. Got a visitor fresh from a hockey game. Got Asphodel herself in here right now.
Congratulations to the Arkansas Razorback 2-1 victory over Alabama.
And we're talking about the hockey team right now.
Yeah, not anything else. God, not
Unfortunately, we didn't do so well in our football game against them.
No.
Fuck football.
I haven't done well in a football game in a minute.
So, since we have Asphodel in here, how do we feel about the way the Yawning portal looks so far?
I like it.
Well, I am tired, so it is a yawning portal.
And we got a pun.
Likes it. Hey Billy, do you want to hear something incredible?
I don't know about any Billy, but Bashanya definitely would.
Well, B. 2 different hockey players from 2 different teams both made Canada jokes about my jacket.
So funny
story.
It's a little more interesting than the yawning portal.
No.
I just realized I'm coloring off where people can see and bending over. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna let the Wisp start off our night.
Okay, So we go.
We're looking cute and fly
We look like
as per
snacks.
usual.
Yeah, we are both snacks. Today.
Not WAG status, which, for those of you wondering, is wives and girlfriends.
Yeah,
We look like pucks.
correct. That is how I identify as a human being. I am just you,
The
and
Whisk
puck slut.
generously was my sugar mama tonight,
Always.
always. And then we get our tickets.
And they're like, oh, this party, like, they're having an event in the main part of where the rink is.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go down, like, and we were like, okay, well, can we still have access to the ice? Because they have, like, bleachers up on another level.
But it's not hockey unless you're beating the glass.
He's goddamn right. Unless it's professional hockey, which is different because I don't have enough money to get ringside seats for anything, even the Colorado Avalanche. Which is a very niche hockey joke. They're not very good. But all of that being said, and they were like, oh yeah, you just go downstairs, like, there's like a back entrance. And we were like, cool, good. So we and this, like, mom and, like, 17 children. It wasn't that many, but it was a lot of kids.
It might have been Duggar level. Like a fourth of the Duggars.
Yeah. We go downstairs, and this coach is, like, standing by the door, and he's like, what are you guys doing down here? And we were like, we're here to get down to the ice level. He was like, you can't do that. We were like, but they just told us that we could do that. He's like, well, I'm not the person to talk to about that. And then
we waited until the mother and her chitlin left.
Yeah. She was like, okay, we'll just go upstairs.
And then the Wisp and I roll a charisma of 20. Nat 20.
Plus the bone.
Why
Plus
were you
bone.
making a safe throw?
Because he's not letting us have.
We initially were just like, hey, is this okay? We tried to make a persuasion check.
And then he was like, no, I'm an old white man. I get to do what I want. And then one of the hockey players booty tapped him.
He didn't booty tap him. He tapped him on the hand with a stick.
Oh, I thought it was his
No, it was not a booty tap.
Oh,
No.
From Asphodel's angle, it was an ass tap.
No.
But we were corrected by the Wisp.
It was a hand tap.
It makes it a little less fun, in my opinion.
A little bit less fun. I should have just let it lie. But I'm dedicated to the truth.
And he winked at the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, I guess you can go through. We go through. It is the men's locker room.
It is the men's locker room.
And the Wisp is donning a Canadian
youth hockey
jacket. And they're going, Marco Polo.
None of them are Canadian, I don't think. Most of them are from, like, the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
And then as we go through, they go, oh, Canada.
I was like, nice, excellent. I'm glad that I've done this today.
And then they try to pull us off the ice. And
We have to talk about before that. We walked through.
Bama.
Yeah, we walked through the Bama team, and one of them started humming "Oh Canada," and I was like, nice, good. I'm glad that this has just elicited the exact response that I wanted. And then we went around to our normal spot, and the poor Zamboni driver. Poor sweet Zamboni driver. Ellen, you're a hero to me tonight. He was like, hey, you guys have to go back upstairs. We have an event, and you guys are supposed to be down here. And we were like, okay, well, how do we get back up there?
Do you want us to go back through the locker room?
He was like, well, no. We were like, well, that's the only way back out.
The other one's blocked off, sir. He's like, well, I guess you can if you just sit down below the bleachers, you just can't be out here.
Yeah, and we were like, for sure. And then we're underneath the bleachers for maybe like 30 seconds.
And then we're up on the
banging the ice.
I lost 2 Swarovski crystals out of my black diamond ring.
Swarovski?
Swarovski.
You're German! I feel like you of all people should be able to...
I feel like that's like Bulgarian nonsense, Russian nonsense.
I guess.
Alexa, what is the origin of Swarovski?
Swarovski?
See, that's totally like an ice skater. That's Russian.
True. Okay, anyways.
We
But,
also
it's a good
have
time. A good time.
Biscuit joining us.
Oh, booze.
Booze. Oh, puppy.
Booze.
Oh, puppy.
Alright, so what we missed there is I was using silver to go around the actual well to kind of build it up. And then when I moved to the two bar areas, we were using mahogany to build in our bar
This table is
And-
mahogany.
and build in our cask here. So that really only leaves a couple of areas left before we're done with the Yawning portal
Give
here.
them a bonus point if they know which movie it's for.
Give them a BM.
Alright, so
B,
I'm gonna put
B,
mahogany
B.
back up for a little bit, and I'm going to put silver back up for a little bit. I'm going to put back this blue-green. And we have to pull out our Sharpie again.
Oh,
Kinda
this
feel. What we're doing in this area. I didn't really have a chance to put any of the curios kind of out here and into the environment, so let's just build a whole gallery purely for that. And I believe Biscuit would like to go outside if one of you two fine ladies.
You had last fed Biscuit, when was that?
5:30.
So he should probably eat.
I'm going to bed.
I doubt he's out of food, but I would prefer you
That's
not feed
yours.
him this late
Facing that to me.
because since multiple people are going to bed, that'd be problematic.
No,
So you'll have to poop.
Are you sleeping with yourself?
I don't know.
No.
Alright, and so one thing that we did forget to do that we need to kind of step back is finish the value on a lot of this stuff. It just kind of now occurring to me that it's a little undone, so before we get onto the gallery, let's bring this part out. Yeah, we're working for a living too. We're bringing it out here. Bring it along the wall. Bring it out just like that. Same kind of here, you know, this part in front of the couch would be pretty dark. This part beside the couch would be pretty dark. Just overall, a little bit, you know, darker in these areas where you've got these, I don't want to say cluttered, but, you know, you do have objects. They're kind of next to them, and so you're going to have a little bit of a darker vibe going on. Same with over here. Kind of going over into this corner, getting a little more saturated and bring it off. As we go through over here, you're going to want to get these dark spots along the seats and just kind of bring it out. But this isn't going to be a very saturated dark. Wisp, you still want to do getting dug? I'm not sure what you just said. Okay. Looks like we're on the solo mission this week again. Alright, so now we have each of our seats has this nice value incorporation that makes it look like they're, you know, actually on a physical platform. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing with this back wall. Bring it forward. Bring it up off the wall. Kind of with this keg, you know. Bring it around the bar. Extend it along the edge of the bar. Use your shoulder and your elbow, not your hand. And bring it up off. Connect these lines just like that. Okay, right in front. And around. Bring it off. And around. Bring it off. And around. Bring it off. A little dark in there. It'll be a little dark over there too. We're just kind of moving around the map, making sure that the values are all succinct and accurate. It can be dark over here just a little bit. Coming off. Voila. Got a pretty nice little lit up space here. Which allows us to kind of come back into this first part, and I'm just kind of realizing I hadn't done that yet in here. You would really only see it in a couple of extremes. Just after the curtain would be one of them. Just behind the desk would be another one. Kind of bring it saturated, but then pull it out real quick. Bring it kind of saturated, and then pull out real quick. So it heads towards another one over there. This area would be a little dark. Just kind of bring it up. Okay, so now we're ready for the gallery curios. Here's our gallery. And we gotta fill it with some shit, straight up. Oof. Right at the hour mark. Let's check what's going on Instagram. Some blunt game. Yeah, is that how it feels? Joel and WA are just kind of liking some people's dapper little cookie. Alright, so now let's put these curios in. I can kind of remember them all off the top of my head. If we kind of enter, we'd want to maybe see a good display across the room. So let's put curio number 1 over here, and I'm going to draw a circular pedestal. And then on top of that circular pedestal, I'm going to make a square. To kind of note that it is a column. And in order to do a little bit more, you're going to need to make another line kind of around. Give it some flutes. I'd have some of these flutes. Alright, so boom. You're going to just do a little bit of line, a little bit of line, a little bit of line. I'm doing lines off the corner here because I'm going to connect to kind of give the impression that it's a cube. Voila. Now I got to replicate it. Let's go over to here. Got a circle going on. Boom. Alright. Let's get another circle. Made that lip a little bit too big. Connect across with that square. It's okay if it's a little wonky. Very few people are going to challenge your artistry, and I mean, I've had other creators in my games, and quite honestly, all you really want to see is that kind of effort. So again, add those flutes. Just maybe 3 of those flutes. Whew, whew, whew. Yeah, just like that. After all the stops and starts, definitely do some prints. Love me some prints. Okay, so we've got these 2 curios, and there's 6 in total. So maybe they've got a pair on the other side where you can kind of walk through and see all 6. Or maybe a really beautiful rug. We'll do the same over here. We'll go boom, and then we'll go boom. There's a painting on this back wall. I know there's definitely a wall right there that goes into a whole different room that we're not going to let them see. So, okay, I'm doing my second line now to help embolden what's going on here. Bring it across, bring it across, bring it across, bring it across. Up, 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 up. Over, across. Alright, yeah. Doing great, we're doing great. Oh, yeah. This is from the Batman soundtrack, and I really loved the Batman soundtrack. I just thought it was the dopest. I grew up on Tim Burton's Batman, and it just really will always kind of hold a special place. And it introduced me to a lot of Prince's versatility, because if for nothing else, I don't know if a lot of people are exposed to some of his work, but golly, the guy could just play music. His personal lifestyle choices to me were just a little odd, regardless of his pain management. I mean, the guy had a hip replacement, but it's more that he just made a couple of claims that to me are really strange. And one of them is that he never had premarital sex. And I'm like, bro, I believe a lot of things you told me, but that's not going to be one of them. And, call me foolish here, but I kind of have an intuition about that kind of stuff. for being, in the entertainment industry just for that little bit that I was in Springfield. That level of purity is, I don't want to say non-existent, but unheard of. It's probably a better word. Do we want to do one contiguous rug? Probably not, because that doesn't really ever exist. So we'll do it kind of go into here and then stop and then get those tassels. Stop and get those tassels. Draw it across here and stop. Get those tassels. Draw it back. Get those tassels and draw it across. That way over here we can kind of fold the rugs under one another. Give some of those tassels. Give people that chance of walking in luxury that we get to take for granted these days because we got carpet. What was carpet to the old world? Seriously. But I'm going to presume that this area again would need to probably be in stonework. So I'm going to start with a real saturated gray coming off here. Why would they have a gallery with a window in it? Seems dangerous, right? I don't know. I'm not here to speak on the security systems of the fantasy medieval realm, but what I can say is that Dern has done a pretty good job for himself in terms of keeping a really low profile and passing some extremely hard stuff. So, I mean, you not only have to be able to see this place, for one, in order to even get here to steal from it, but those who would have been here and even thought about stealing something, I mean, you're messing with one of the best, man. You're messing with someone who, I mean, quite honestly, so far as I can tell, doesn't really care about death anymore. Definitely seems like he's got a handle on it. I wouldn't cross that person lightly. Let alone for something that was a personal gift. I mean, I've done some dumb shit in my life, but I've never done anything that dumb. What's playing now? Oh, Ice Cream Man. Not really feeling that one. Ooh, I do like these next two songs though. I just found out about this one Lakeside song via the Funk Lords radio channel that's run by Chromeo. And they have a lot of really good stuff on there. I didn't know Kenny G used to be a new wave sax composer. I just kind of always thought he had done the Hobby Lobby style, cover artist Christmas music with a soprano sax. Oh man, my brother said something really funny one time. That Kenny G played the dildo sax, and man, I lost it the first time he said that. That was hilarious to me. I'm going to give it that same kind of lighting ambiance, but let's maybe actually pretend that each one of these curios has their own magical light, so that we can bring the darkness in the room from off the wall towards the curios. And that'll kind of help us build a little more mystique to checking out each item, rather than just always having to put an action point on what we want to draw the emphasis to. Again, we can let that passive perception take care of so much of the DMing woes and problems that kind of arise just by being diligent in covering a couple of these little bitty visual details. Again, I'm just kind of going around and I'm making sure everything is nice and congruent in terms of the value and the tone, so that I don't have to explain. I like not having to explain, man. You get one of these new players, golly, just ask them 20 questions, and you can quickly develop a fatigue, and that's not good, because you need to have that resource and that energy. Some of it, I mean, I would... some of it does come down to, how are players managing the DM? I have to think about that with them. How many things can I actually throw at them before I break their spirit? How many things are going to be appropriate to really test their resolve? I never want the game to be too easy, but I don't want it to be belligerently hard, you know what I'm saying? Everything is somewhere in that balance, and God, that can just be so intangible sometimes, but it's these little doing these little details to allow people to kind of explore for themselves and use their eyes is just, valuable. And I'm bringing this off, and I'm using my shoulder and my elbow to do it. Bringing it off the arm, bringing it forward, just like that. Okay, so boom. The room now looks pretty good, and all we really need to do is kind of draw that each one of these curios has their own light source coming off of it. And we're going to do that by rounding out these saturated points, bringing it up, and then tapering it off again, just like we had done with everything else so far. Allow these separations to not so much elude themselves, but bring themselves out more on a prominent display, because that's what we want, right? The intrigue, what these items could possibly be. Just like that. Get that black line coming up under that rug and bring it forward. Okay, boom. Now each one of these items looks like it's projecting some sort of light, and we can kind of give that to it. So now let's start assigning some of these colors, and since we've already kind of determined that purple, this is violet. Since we've determined that purple is going to be our color of magic in this environment, let's go ahead and pull out that purple again. I don't know where I put mine, I'll be straight up. We have to search for it. Ugh. Test it out on this one. I'll take it. Nah, it is too dark. We can't use violet. Ugh, boy. Okay, I found it. Yeah. Boom. Just gonna kind of take this around. Well, honestly, it is just a little bit too dark. I think we might have pushed the value a little bit too far. But we're not going to get a very clear color representation. I'll try. Yeah, so now these kind of, you can see them just a little bit, these purple protrusions are coming off and kind of giving you that sense that they're protruding some sort of magic going on here. What's these magical purple pedestals about? Let's check each one of them out. As you should, players, as you should. Ooh, and we got some Eddie Money coming on right now, and if you know me, you know I love Eddie Money. In terms of what color the carpet would be, I think it would be pertinent to kind of take an Ellis feel with this, so I'm going to go with a purple creation. So I'm going to use a couple of different purples here. I'm pulling out some blue violet. I'm pulling out some legit purple. Oh, it looks like they've gotten in trouble. They've started putting violet parentheses purple because purple isn't a real color. It's the color of a dye. Then I've also got wisteria. This is wisteria. Good luck deciphering that shit. Yeah, so I'm coming in with this deep blue violet. I'm going off the sides here. So, the outside layer always ends up being the darkest on these carpets, and then we can kind of come in here, do a really tactile push, and I'm just doing little crosshatches to give that it's a texture. I'll do it across here too, and one more time this way. Alright, so now we got the wisteria. I'm just going to drag it across. Whew. A nice and beautiful carpet. How's that look? I think it looks pretty alright. So now I'm going back to our blue violet. I'm going to make these lines. Make these lines just along the edge. She looks so pretty. Oh yeah. I'm always talking, maybe talking too much. Nah, that can't be possible. So again, I'm doing these crosshatch effects, just going along these edges, kind of promote the fact that this is carpet. And I'm just fudging it with how, carpets look in my head. We vacuumed enough of the sons of bitches. You don't have to Google every single image. A lot of people need that subtraction. One of the biggest things that we studied in art history was that the majority of cultures, especially once they hit a certain density, appreciate the abstraction more than they appreciate the reality. So I think that's why cartoons and certain animation are able to capture people's imagination of humanity a lot better than just a direct representation of what is on. So I know that on each one of these different pedestals we would have different curios, and so one of the ones we have is a symbol. So I'm going to write S on another one. And we kind of want these to show that purple light, so I'm taking wisteria. I'm just going to go along some of the sides of this. Yeah, just kind of deepen it in a little bit. Alright, so we have a symbol. We have a manifest. Sheila E's playing right now. I could go for something else. I was playing a lot of Icewind Dale when the song came out. So we had the manifest of the 14 magical pools. We had a scroll. Put SC. That was the Netherese scroll. We had the manifest, the symbol. Should probably put a Y. And then MN for manifest. And then we had a map of the 9 hills written on human parchment. We had a mummified hand that was still up and going. And I'm writing letters here so that I can kind of give myself one of those quick DMing reminders. And along with that mummified hand, we had a pipe. Nice. So again, I'm going to take wisteria and I'm going to do 2 sides that are facing the carpet, saturated with wisteria, and 3 in some cases when it's actually facing those 3 sides. And then on those back sides, I'm going to take this blue violet and I'm gonna saturate those in to kind of give the impression that these are emanating that light. And this is a technique that, when used digitally, is called pixel popping, allowing offset variations on color through tonality and value. Allow that. So again, this is where we'll end. All that I really have left to do is kind of just fill in that room I don't want to show. And so what we can do for this last area, we can fill it in with black. I'm coming through here, and I'm going hard. Yeah. Maybe the lights on in there. Bring that right in. Just rotating the canvas around as I need to continue moving this stuff. So now I'm going for this portion here of what I'm going to call a ballroom, but I'm not going to let my players go in there. It's just a waste of time. The odds that one of them is going to want a ballroom dance is slim to none. Alright, so let's give a full review of the map now that we're done. We start off down here in the garden. We go up into the entrance through here. At that point, we have a whole lot to explore going up through and past this checkpoint. We can go into a door here. We have a gallery full of the curios. Or we can continue right into the actual bar room, and as I kind of slide it forward here, we have everything represented from our staircase that goes up to the next 2 viewing floors, to our latrines, our sidebar, the actual well to the Yawning portal, and then kind of your coffee shop seating area in front of the stained glass window. And this all took about 2 hours start to finish to kind of plan and get going. Ordinarily, I'd like to do, a kind of Q&A, but that's going to have to come once we get our people up. And again, I would like to do this a lot more regularly, and part of that means actually getting that funding. So if you like what I'm putting down and you want to keep tuning in, there's a donate button just below on my page. Find it. Help me keep doing this. I'm never going to give up D&D. That's kind of what I'm doing. So, for me and Xanatar, wish you a good evening. Thanks for joining in. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace. Oh, and one last thing. Follow me on all of the links below, because I'm going to be posting some of the stuff as we get done with it, and I want to be able to put these into your hands once I get the Patreon up and running. And these I don't believe in keeping this kind of stuff. Yeah, the studio's filled with it, but I don't want it to be that way anymore. You got to cull the herd if you want the new. So, pretty long-winded, but I think it's worth it. Peace out.